Excellent education, sense values will result in producing third-class criminals. This is not a listener, it's on the website. You must watch it. We employ people for their bodies, physical work. You only want a teacher to stand here. Actually, I don't like the word teacher. So I prefer the word coordinator. I always write course coordinator. Because I'm deeply convinced nothing can be taught. Things can be learned. And there's a world of a difference between teaching or attempting to teach and learning. Robotics, machines, we really don't need human bodies to do physical work. Why not? Whatever events will go. We employed people for their brains. We wanted intelligent employees. The problem with intelligence is that somehow they don't accept dumbness. I was just talking to Swati that I used to take undergraduate classes at IIT, and at the first opportunity I got, I shifted into postgraduate classes because they are much easier. Teaching undergraduates is difficult. Of course, my first challenge was, and I was 28 years of age when I joined IIT as a lecturer, the students are walking and asking, "Sir, आपने BTech किया है क्या?" So I said, yes. What was their All India rank? Now, I didn't tell them that in my days, getting a good All India rank was very easy because number of students were less. But they have the skepticism, and rightly so, if I may say. So one of my senior colleagues, now obviously retired, was director of IIT Roorkee, just to share with you, to can figure out who to talk about. I asked him what makes IITs. He said, students. We have international caliber students, we have national level faculty, we have Government of India staff. We employed these people, and some companies found it difficult to manage it. Those who did, those organizations progressed. If I'm really talking about the 80s and the early 90s, which was the Infosys and the HCL days. And then we needed to employ people for their heart. And that's the challenge of education. Children don't learn from people they do not like. Grown-ups don't learn at all. My wife is a school teacher, has been a school teacher, teaches kids grade 2. Her principal threatened to promote her to class 4, and she threatened to resign. She said, I love my children. These are the kids I want to be with. That child does not differentiate between subject, teacher, and school. If they don't like the teacher, they don't like the subject, they don't like the school. The primary role of a teacher at that level is to somehow get the child to like the school. I used to be a good teacher. I used to be a good teacher till 2004, categorical. Because unfortunately in 2004, I took 2 years leave and went off as director for business school. Came back 2 years later for reasons time is not permitting. Because I used to drop my wife to the hostel gate, boys' hostel gate, at 7:15, and then drop in at one of the hostels for a cup of tea or breakfast. And my students arrives with the right questions. Sir, ये जो प्रोफेसर इनको अंग्रेजी नहीं सिखाई, सर इन्हें और कोई नौकरी नहीं मिल सकती थी, सर ये क्लास में धमकाते क्यों है, सर इन्हें घर पे इज्जत नहीं मिलती क्या? When I came back, unfortunately I had that director kind of an approach. Now students would start, when I approached them, they start smiling. Good morning sir, good evening sir, which means आप चलिए यहाँ बात कर रहे थे, आगे बढ़िए. I'm suggesting It is the relationship between the teacher and the student which results in learning. The teaching profession needs teachers with hearts, with employable heart. And at the end of the day, what Mahesh sir was saying, can you evoke their character, their soul? Can they be ethical? We, all of us in this room, and all of us who have been in this room, we belong to the top 2% of the country. I can prove that to you with numbers. Anybody who has a car at home, be that an Alto, be that a Mercedes, or be that a Range Rover, belongs to the top 2%. We have an obligation. Unfortunately, the global crisis of 2008, the meltdown, was caused by gold medalists from Harvard, MIT, and Stanford. You can interpret them, water was not in them. Or as the list goes. What went wrong? What is it that you're fighting for? One of my school principals, and this is my school, we were at a conference, unfortunately it's no more, expired a few years back, very senior academician. We were in Dehradun sitting in a hotel for a conference, and he said, Harish, I'm happy I'm dying. I said, sir, why? Why are you saying that at breakfast time? He says, because my grandchildren ask me questions which I can't answer. They ask me, why have you spoiled the earth? Why have you polluted the cities? Why is there so much crime? Why are women not safe in this country? This is what will be done. Brother will now be principal of St. Mary's, Delhi for 19 years, and now a teacher at St. George's, Missouri. He walked up into one of my conferences and said, I have a question. I said, sir. He said, when children come to us at the age of 3 or 4, they come like little angels. When they go at the age of 17 or 18, they go like little devils. What are we doing? What we are doing, and as Manjot ma'am pointed out, what we are doing is we are focusing on sharpening the brain without giving a damn as to which direction that sharpening is happening in. Daniel Goleman, his famous works, I won't have time to run through all of it, but I'll leave this presentation for those who have been interested. Our brain is divided nearly half and half into right and left, and by some mechanism we are cross-wired. There's a thinking brain, there's an emotional brain. The two sometimes work in tandem, often they work at cross purposes. I realized this. I was on a flight from Bombay to Goa, and it started raining very heavily, and the flight was cancelled in the evening. I was booked onto the flight next morning. Next morning I walked in, and the lady at the counter, those were the Indian Airlines days. I showed her they had given us our boarding pass. She said, sir, you can go in. The security allowed me in. I had a small briefcase with me. It had some cash and it had my wife's jewelry. I went to the aircraft, and their hostess there said, sir, this is not valid, you got to change it. I said, okay. She took that briefcase and she put it there on the staircase at the entry of the aircraft. I came back, walked back through the security, and now this girl says, sir, this flight is full, we'll put you in the next flight. I said, my suitcase is there. Sir, bahut jayega, aap wahan le lena. I don't know what happened. I think I shouted. I totally blacked out. And the next thing I knew, I was in some luggage hold with two people holding me from the side to Indian Airlines people, and they walked me through nowhere right to the aircraft. They picked up the suitcase, they put me in business class, they upgraded me, they put me into a lounge, they booked my hotel in Goa, all kind of things. I think I shouted. But I don't know, I blacked out. I understood it much later when I read this book by Daniel Goleman. In an emotional crisis, the amygdala takes over and it bypasses all your brain routes. It bypasses all the circuitry The right prefrontal cortex is the seed of fear and anxiety. When that gets activated, your thinking stops. The left prefrontal cortex is the happiness and love side. Reasonably established. And then I read Werner Erhard, who says, and I thought about it a lot, all decisions are emotional decisions. The heart, which you think what you're not thinking from the heart, you're thinking from the prefrontal cortex. Fine, that's okay. And the brain then gets around to rationalizing it. The brain works slower than your amygdala, or let's say the emotional part. What does it mean to be emotionally intelligent? Two things. Sorry, it begins with self-awareness. Can you be aware of your moods? I will not run through all 5 because there's a constraint of time, but I'll probably stick to the first one and maybe the second one. You can Google, you can chat GPT. Incidentally, one comment on AI-based education. I just made the question paper yesterday for my students, the exam that's to take till the day after tomorrow. Now we have 1 midterm, not 2 finals. What I did 2 years back, it's working for me. I give them the question and the chat GPT 5 and the perplexity answers play. And I ask them to mark out what changes are you making. Because it's a language tool, they should use it. But I want to see them work beyond it. Sorry, back to this. Emotional intelligence begins with self-awareness. Are you aware of your feelings? Are you in touch with yourself? Can you at that moment recognize and realize, hey, my thinking has been hijacked? So again, teachers. And this little girl asked me something about teachers. Professor Ashok Sahani was teaching us at in Bangalore and told us a story. How to pull yourself back. His family got devastated in the Indo-Pakistan border dispute, 1947-48. His family got left behind. They all got killed. Everything was taken away. And at the age of 8, with his 3-year-old sister in his arms, he walked across the border into India. He worked as a sweeper, he worked as a janitor, he worked as a chai ki dukan helper. Climbed his way up. It was appearing for his BSc exam at Chandigarh University, Punjab University. Those were the days when we used to have telegrams. These kids will not know what a telegram is, but he got a telegram. And the coordinator of the exam let to give it to him. He read it. He said, "Sir, can I go to the washroom?" He went there and wept for 30 minutes. The telegram read, "Sister died." And he came back and wrote that exam and got a gold medal. He said, because I need to get my thinking back again. Motivation. Sorry, I'm jumping bigger. You cannot motivate anyone. You can empower them. There's only one person who can motivate, and that's yourself. Can you shout back at yourself, "Mr. Chaudhary, you are a tougher, now do this job." And can you get out right? Can you be tough with yourself? Can you say, "I have to do it"? So, self-awareness. Can you be aware of your moods, of your feelings, of your thoughts, of your actions? How do you do it? You can Google. There are a boatload of strategies. I read all of them a few months back, and when I prepared this PPT, this is not AI generated. Because when I prepared it, I didn't know how to use AI. I still don't. My son does it. So I tell him to do it. As a matter of fact, this PPT also my students make by and large. They are brighter than me. I'll give you 2. One, can you reflect back on what happened and what you felt? What happened at that airport, Bombay airport, that I went so blank? What happened? What triggered it? That fear and anxiety, my wife's jewelry in that bag, and that's it. And can I reflect back, how could I have reacted differently? Two, borrowed from Stephen Covey's book, Eighth Habit. Place a time gap between stimulus and reaction. Okay, this happened. Hold. I was in a car yesterday and my son was driving. An auto rickshaw just came out of nowhere and came in front. He jammed the brakes and before we knew what, another car had hit us back. And we jerked. He was jumping out. I got him. I said, बैठ जाओ, निकलेंगे नहीं. Let's have a sip of water. Wait for a minute, then we'll go out. And as things would happen, the car at the back, the boy who was driving it, probably his wife was with him. They came shouting, "आपने ब्रेक क्यों लगाया?" Now, how do I tell somebody कि मैंने ब्रेक क्यों लगाया? What did you want me to do? You wanted me to throw the auto rickshaw ahead? But that 1 minute, he put us back on track. And very happily I told him कि बेटा गलती हो गई तुमसे. It's your fault. I told that girl, sit in the car. And I told him, अपना नंबर दे दो, गाड़ी ठीक करो, बाद में बात करेंगे. Leave it. The world is not coming to an end. So I'm suggesting, I have practiced it. I have been practicing it. It took me ages. Because I was dumb. No people are brighter. It should take you less time. Become more and more aware. तुम्हारा मूड कब खराब होता है? You know, this one funny thing I hear. मूड नहीं है. मूड नहीं ठीक करो यार. काम करने का मूड नहीं है. तो क्यों आए हो? वाइब्स नहीं आ रही. पानी पियो, कॉफी पियो, कुछ तोड़ फोड़ करो, कुछ करो, शाउट करो. Okay, take 2 minutes. Come back. What is mood business? I'm not feeling good today. Start feeling good. It's our job. And this suggesting, understand your own system because you are the only person who can rectify it. So please rectify it. Self-regulation, discipline, the ability to withhold impulse is the seat of willpower and character. My sir, character. इनके उसको लोग. So, I'm sure most of you have heard of or read the marshmallow experiment. Very categorical. Those children who could hold back that impulse performed much better. Much, much, much better. Can you hold your impulse? Can you recognize your impulse to start with? If you don't recognize it, you can't hold it back. But if you do recognize it, is it happening again and again and again and again? If it's repetitive, then it's becoming a part of your personality. Please change it. हम तो ऐसे ही हैं. Please change it. ऐसे मत रहिए. That's my time. 3:58, 2 minutes more. Regulate your impulses. You cannot afford to be impulsive. Some of you may have seen a movie, and some of you would remember, Jitin sir, हमको तो याद है, Dheeraj sir. No one killed Jessica. Unfortunate. She worked with me. Jessica had worked with me in a sales campaign. Wonderful girl. The boy who shot her was in Tihar. And a friend of mine was DG police looking after Tihar. And I asked him, कैसा लड़का है? तो हरीश, बहुत अच्छा लड़का है. अच्छा, उसने शूट कर दिया यार. इतनी मैं बात की. And he says, he asked him कि क्यों शूट आ गया? जैसे सर गलती होगा. गुस्सा आ गया. गुस्सा. Can you recognize तुम्हें गुस्सा कब आता है? Can you recognize your anger? Can you recognize your outburst? The problem is I'm sorry again for little technical, when the amygdala takes over, you can't hear yourself. Can you have a critical friend who can tell you you are wrong and not resist it? Take feedback. The best friends are those unwilling to risk their relationship and friendship in order to criticize you. Have a critic with you. And then we understand empathy. Try practicing it. Try practicing. Difficult. Motivation is easier to practice. This is the 5-point agenda which Daniel Goleman gives us. And we will stop here. Thank you so much.